Pounders. We are back again doing some more big board underdog drafts. And joined with me today is someone you haven't seen more behind the scenes since the off season. Tyler, the young wizard. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
It's always a pleasure to be here. Love being a part of the Pound. We've been working behind the scenes a little bit, doing some shorts, pumping out good content. But just happy to be here. Let's get some drafts going. And
You've definitely been grinding behind the scenes. People, if you've seen the shorts, Tyler's absolutely crushing it. Definitely one of the leaders in our side of things for rookies and looking at dynasty side of stuff. But let's get into the good stuff, right? We have free draft rankings, a draft guide for best ball, sharp rankings, and in-depth rankings for all subscribers, and it's free. You can form your own opinions on them. If you like the data, great. If you don't, use it to your advantage. So it's ranked with values in each round, good, fair, or poor. And the fair is going to be those players that I'm going to be equal exposure on, around 6 to 8%. Red is obviously going to be under 5% and under, and then green. Let me scoop as many of those people as possible. As you can see, Cooper Kupp is going to be ahead of Travis Kelce probably by the end of next week, if not sooner. Again, at the bottom here, I'm currently drafting AJ Brown over Devontae Adams. It's not a hot take. I've been doing that since AJ Brown was at 11. And I'm drafting CeeDee Lamb over Jonathan Taylor at the 11 spot because if you don't, you typically get stuck with the double running back build, or you have to do a slight reach up for Amon-Ra, which I'm also fine with. So round one, I have all the way through 9 rounds done. I've been absolutely grinding in the dark to get that to everybody. And we should be updating it every so often as well throughout the off season.
yeah, obviously it's so early into the offseason. The Super Bowl just closed up a couple of weeks ago. So this is so early. This is so preliminary, but we love being the first kind of group to get our rankings out there. Like we love being one of these top 10 groups to get our rankings out there and put this information out there because we know people are out there looking for best ball stuff, looking for dynasty stuff. And we're just happy to be pumping out this content. You've been grinding out all these rankings and everything. There's a lot of stuff to be said about the early rankings too. Like so much stuff can change over the next couple months with, Derek Carr still looking for a new quarterback and,
the combine, in the next week, we're going to see these ADPs fly up and down. You're going to see people like, Devon A-Chain ran a 4.2. People are going to start selecting them around like 110, 120, whether that's right or not. I got my shares early. So in case that does happen, landing spot is still going to be the most important part for these rookies. And what do these teams, these NFL teams, think their cost is worth? Where are they selecting them in the draft might also prove how big of a role they're going to have. So definitely a lot of work in parts, but yeah, this is where you can have the biggest advantage too. If you're involved this early in the offseason and you're up to date with all this stuff, this is where the advantage is. There's a lot of values. There's a lot of people that are extremely poor values. So we'll get into some of those. We're going to pull up a live draft now and we'll get right into it. Let's see. We'll do our countdown as always. Try to get as many people in the chat in the draft. And as always, if you haven't already, drop a like on the live stream. It helps us tremendously. You guys keep showing up. We'll keep showing up. And subscribe to the Pound. If you want the free rankings, it's for all subscribers. And if you like drafting live, maybe pick the winner on the live stream, hit the bell for notifications, and you'll be the first one in the live chat like Ben is always. Ready for it? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, waiting on one. Hopefully people were in it beforehand waiting. We'll see how many of you sickos are in this draft. H.J. Wigglesworth, always here. Leo. Let's see anyone else. Ben is in. He said, I will not miss another one. Back-to-back days. This will be a fun one. HJ has to stand for handy, right? I mean, it's got to be. You know, a little Wigglesworth.
You definitely have to assume that. Like
It's got to be. There's some fire names that you can get away with a little bit of comedy with
there's
the
some
Underdog
leeway with
names right now.
there's some leeway with the Underdog names. They still haven't like nerfed it, but there's still some leeway that's going with it.
It's so true. It's so true. And you want to know what? As I'm doing my own rankings, I noticed that I'm going back to my own draft guide and looking at it. It is honestly helpful for me to see. Also pulling up like what I think is interesting is we marked out who is wide receiver 1 all the way through. We're going to go all the way through 225 rankings, all the way to the end of the draft. It's interesting to see, okay, Dotson is going as wide receiver. I can pull it up in a second, 43. Whereas on Underdog, it doesn't tell you that. So how do you know you're getting a good value, right? We can kind of look back to last year and see, okay, he finished as wide receiver 50, but he only played 12 games. So we have deep information on there that this is straight from the dome piece, not copied from anywhere else, just typing up the information that we think is important.
Yeah.
Here we are at the 7 spot. Probably
I think
looking
definitely
like this.
too, like, yeah. I mean, I always think Tyreek Hill or Stephon Diggs are the 2 safest plays here at this kind of like 6, 7, 8 spot. We saw what Hill just did in Miami with his first season. He's still growing with chemistry, and that was a huge season where Tua didn't play all of those games. He was banged up. He had the concussion injuries in and out. Skylar Thompson, Teddy Bridgewater were in for like 5, 6 games throughout the season. So like, if he gets a full season of just Tua, I mean, fingers crossed that Tua can avoid the dreaded like 9, 10 concussions again. But
I know. So there's some risk, right? With Hill and actually with Cooper Kupp. So I think these two back-to-back are interesting, but I still think these two are going to be ahead of Travis Kelce in the next coming weeks. You have 20 rounds to make up that value at tight end. That it gives you a positional advantage, right? Going Kelce in the first round gives you that positional advantage, but you lose that advantage in these 20 round drafts, especially when you have people like Jelani Woods going into their second year, supposed to get an upgraded quarterback, obviously, over Matt Ryan, going in the 19th round. Hunter Henry getting Bill O'Brien over there as OC. I know he's one of my most drafted tight ends right now, if not the most drafted tight end on my side of things. And you're getting them for free. So these values, it's very easy to catch up on tight end just by going 3 of them. That being said, if Kelce has a similar year to last year, I mean, he's always going to be worth it. I think we go Josh Allen here. I don't have too much of this stack. I know it's common, but I would like to get a little piece of that. What do you think?
I love it. I mean, he's QB1 in the NFL. He has the rushing upside. He has the passing upside. He's got a good passing attack. He's got great receivers around him, good pass catching running backs, and he obviously just has the rushing upside. You saw how many touchdowns he vultured from his halfbacks and running backs throughout the season. So
it's true.
I think he's QB1 going into this season and probably next couple seasons moving forward too.
Yeah, he's got the floor for you. He's got the ceiling for you. And I think there's a difference between him and Mahomes going in this round. I don't have Mahomes going until back here. Now I get it if you have Travis Kelce and you want to stack him, but I think Josh Allen and Hurts provide more upside with their legs than a Mahomes can.
And you have to definitely notice that Mahomes is losing his longtime offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, this season. how is that going to impact him? How is that going to impact the play calling and whether he's comfortable or not with the new OC and the play calling over there? So
Right.
Eric Bieniemy leaving could actually have a huge impact on Mahomes and how he's able to play.
Right.
So that's definitely something where I would drop Mahomes down a couple draft spots. Probably not like a full round or two, but a couple
Mhm.
draft spots just because I think I would really be taking Jalen Hurts over him right now
100%.
just because Hurts has this he still has the huge rushing upside where he's getting 10 to 15 carries a game. Um, Mahomes just
Yeah.
doesn't have that.
Right.
So,
We also don't know. He just shouldn't be going this early, right? In 20-round drafts, especially, it's sort of the same thing with tight ends. You can make up the points at QB just by going 3 QBs in the middle rounds, or selecting one, like a Justin Herbert here, and then going 2 late QBs. You can make up those points and still have that upside, those spikes. But like you said, Jalen Hurts has that rushing upside that can break a slate.
yeah.
Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields,
Yeah.
two. I would much rather have them in the fourth round, the early fourth round, than Patrick Mahomes in the second.
Yeah. Those are guys that we've seen them run for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns in multiple games throughout their career. Mahomes has yet to do that. Like, we know what Mahomes is capable of, and that's being one of the top overall quarterbacks, arguably in NFL history, skill wise. But we're talking fantasy here, and we're talking like upside and points. So I
Right.
think guys like Fields and guys like Hurts, they have that later round ability to come in and be overall better points for you than Mahomes will be.
Wigglesworth might be on auto draft, something that we can keep an eye on. Um, right here, I wanted Brees Hall, obviously, after ADP, but this is really what we're looking at. At 42, there is our next pick. There's some wide receivers that I like. It's also some running backs. So let's go Chubb here. I don't own a lot of Chubb. Getting him a few picks after ADP. I honestly think Cleveland, those last games where Deshaun Watson started, they wanted to see what Watson could do. So
Yeah.
they were throwing the ball more. Now, week
Yeah.
18, Nick Chubb blew up, and we saw Nick Chubb again. With Kareem Hunt potentially moving on, Dearness Johnson going to free agency. Hello, Nick Chubb has a clear role to have a majority of the carries. Now, that being said, they're probably going to invest in someone either in free agency or in the NFL draft, but they're going to be looking for someone that is like a pass catching back, maybe like a
Right.
Kenny McIntosh in this NFL draft.
Yeah, definitely. I think you hit the nail on the head too. You said the big guy is Kareem Hunt. He's leaving. Like, he's an unrestricted free agent. I highly doubt that Cleveland brings him back with the money that he's going to command coming back into that backfield as like a third down role, strictly running back. So
He gone.
they're probably going to be leaning towards the draft to find themselves like that pass catching back, that third down running back that can take the third and long situations.
And
But
what's interesting about
Chubb,
that too is sorry to cut you off. Kareem Hunt is more than just a third down back. He hurts
right.
Nick Chubb's value a lot because he's also a change of pace back that can play on third down. He can run on first and second. This is interesting. Mari Cooper here. Now we have a little Cleveland correlation.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think so for me, like a lot of Cleveland pass catchers are in play this season. We saw Deshaun Watson come in and he didn't look fully comfortable at the end of that
No,
season. You know, he's
no.
been almost 2 years off from playing game action football. So I think bringing him into the system now, like with the pass catchers they have, like Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples Jones, David Njoku, like
Yeah.
some of those guys, like I think are really going to take a huge step forward. We know DPJ is super young and his ADP is really good. So he's a guy that I definitely love grabbing later in a lot of these drafts. I don't want to dispose all this information right now, but I know we
Disclose it
have
all, my friend. We are an
I know we have
open
people
book
that we're
here.
drafting together with and
It's all
against,
right.
but
It's all right.
um,
I just lay it all out.
Cleveland pass catchers are definitely going to take a step forward this year.
Yeah, I agree. And Amari Cooper sneakily finished very high for overall rankings last year for fantasy points. So something to keep note of. He has that spike potential. He's a tournament play. You got to remember this is tournaments. We're shooting for the ceiling. He has that high ceiling, especially in that range we selected him. If he wasn't there, I would be interested in like a Christian Watson in this range. Michael Pittman, I think, is good value. We'll see what the quarterback situation is there. It should be an improvement, right? So Michael Pittman could be an outstanding value this year. It's just going to be a little more of a dart throw.
Those are two guys, too, that you don't know what the quarterback situation is going to look like. Christian Watson, obviously, with Green Bay, like we don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going back there. Who's
Dude,
going to be the quarterback in Green Bay?
If Rodgers is back, he's going in this range.
If Rodgers is back, Christian Watson immediately becomes his ADP improves 10 slots at least.
Yeah, at least.
But Green Bay and Indianapolis are two quarterback situations that we just have no idea what is happening right now. It could be Derek Carr in Indianapolis, and that improves Michael Pittman, and it could be Jordan Love over in Green Bay, and that could decrease Christian Watson. So I'm kind of with these early drafts, I'm kind of staying away from those receivers where we don't really know where the quarterback situation is going to be.
See, now I'm targeting the ones that have the upside, because if we do select the Christian Watson here at 42 and Rodgers does re-sign in Green Bay, you're going to have an enormous advantage. And I like to play around that side. It's less safe, right? But I like to try to exploit that. Drake London's not one of my favorite picks here.
I love DeAndre Swift. I know we've talked about this before. I've kind of mentioned it before. Jamal Williams in a contract year. He's going to command a lot of money too after the season he just had. I don't think Detroit is going to bring him back. I think they're going to look towards the draft or free agency to grab someone else as their third down role. But I think DeAndre Swift at his age, at 24 years old, they're going to see, all right, what do we have in this young guy? He's still under his rookie contract. What do we actually have in him before we bring him in long-term, before we accept his fifth-year option? What do we have in this guy? Let's let him loose. Let's see what he's capable of.
Yeah.
He's been injury prone, but
he came into last season with a high ankle sprain and a separated shoulder. So if he can get a little healthy, now I do think that Jamal Williams will be there next year, but Swift still has enormous upside value. Jamal Williams is going to see touchdown regression. You have Jameson Williams. It's going to be spreading the field. I think this offense is going to be firing on all cylinders this next year. I want as much Swift as possible. And like you said, if Jamal Williams doesn't return, where should Swift be going in this draft? I mean, we're talking about right up here with Nick Chubb and Josh Jacobs, in my opinion. So I think he has quite a bit of upside either way.
With his current ADP being like 52, 53, like I immediately think if Jamal Williams signs somewhere else, his ADP jumps 10, maybe even 20 picks. Like,
damn.
It's crazy the potential that DeAndre Swift actually has. We've seen him pop off, and we know that he's a pass catcher. We know he's a really good pass catcher, but it's just been limited by the Jamal Williams last year and the injury stuff. So
for sure,
I do think Williams will probably move. My opinion is that Williams will probably move on because he's going to command a lot of money that Detroit probably won't want to pay him, knowing they still have a really young running back in their back pocket.
We're on the clock. I wanted Lockett there, and here's the little write-up that I have on Lockett. And in my opinion, could be the most underrated, mispriced player in the top 100. He finished as wide receiver 13 last year in 16 games. He finished as wide receiver 17 in fantasy points per game, minimum 9 games. Sorry to Michael Thomas. Metcalf finished as wide receiver 18, and he played 17 games. Lockett's that perfect best ball player where he's going to have those explosion weeks. You don't have to guess when to start him. He's going to spike into your lineup. He might have some touchdown regression, but He's going as wide receiver 33. Come on. Come on. That's disrespectful.
Yeah, that's the
So
good thing with best ball is like you don't have to set these lineups. Lockett is a guy that you know is going to go for 30 points multiple times this season, and you don't have to worry about did I start him the right week? It's automatically setting for you. So
it's
I think
ridiculous
Lockett
because he was a
is
career like boomer bust guy. And then last year he really showed actually steady production every week with potential for spikes as well.
yeah. And whether that's the Geno Smith effect where Geno is just better than Russell Wilson, or it's just different play calling, different play styles for the guys. Like we know with Russell Wilson, the way the offensive line has to play is they have to push guys forward. They have to knock guys down. He's a shorter quarterback, so the route running is a lot different for receivers with shorter quarterbacks. That's just a little known thing. Maybe it's a widely known thing, but the route
All
running
right,
is
Wiz. All
vastly
right,
different
Wiz. Calm down. Calm
for
down there with
shorter.
your huge
Hey,
head and big brain
just saying it.
talking
The
down on
route trees
everyone.
are vastly different for shorter quarterbacks, and that's been proven over years and years. So I think that Geno Smith actually benefits a deeper route receiver like Tyler Lockett. So I think we saw that last year. I think we're going to see it next year moving forward too.
I like it. I mean, it's not a fluke, right? We saw Geno Smith play the whole season.
Right.
It's not a fluke. Interesting. Deshaun Watson. We're probably not going quarterback until our last pick. We do have to catch up here at wide receiver. And there's some people falling that I think are interesting. Bateman was going to be one of them. Dotson's one of my favorites in this range. Now, you could argue Gabe Davis because we have Josh Allen, right? And I think he's disgusting and gross. But because we have Josh Allen, do we go Gabe Davis here? I think we do.
I think the correlation is too good to pass up on it. It's a little bit better than what you're going to have with Jahan Dotson or Jordan Addison. We're just not sure where Addison's going to land, obviously.
Let's check the exposure. I feel dirty.
Gabe Davis always has that super deep potential, right? Like he's always that guy that can just catch a 30-yard pass and take it for 90 yards. We're just not really sure where Addison's going to land. If Addison were to land in Buffalo, then sheesh, that's a bad thing to pass up on. But I think the chances of Addison landing in Buffalo are slim to none.
They're going to improve at receiver. And this is why I've drafted Gabe Davis on one team out of 57. This is the second time I've done it. Gabe Davis is just not a great receiver. He had the golden goose opportunity where he was a wide receiver too going into Buffalo this past year, and he didn't capitalize on it. And he was one of my least drafted players. One of my first shorts was about don't draft Gabe Davis last year at his ADP.
Yeah.
And I mean, just being able to fade the right people can make you a lot of money as well as being able to target the right people. Yeah. One of those people we're targeting right now is going to be a James Conner. Let's go.
I do love James Conner going into this season. Obviously, with Kyler Murray being under ACL surgery, we don't know when he's going to come back. I know he said he released it. Surgery went well. He said allegedly he's ahead of schedule, but we're not sure what that even means. We don't know if we can take his word for it. He's probably grinding Call of Duty way too much to even know how ahead of schedule he is. But
boom, headshot.
I love James Conner. He's got the PPR ability where he's just like a 5 to 6 targets, 4 or 5 catches a game type running back out of the backfield.
I think Kyler raises his upside, and here's why. And I honestly, now James Conner, either way, he can be that bell cow guy, but I would prefer the offense to be healthy and getting in the red zone more often with the Kyler. So I pick him for the reason of week 15, 16, 17. I'm hoping Kyler's healthy. I'm hoping this offense is in the red zone more often. Also, James Conner isn't crazy value this year, in my opinion. Where he's going, I think he's very interesting. If you're going to go like a running back hero build, right? And he's your first running back that you select. I mean, he finishes RB20 last year and he only played 13 games.
Yeah,
On a
and
fantasy
that's
points per game basis, he was RB10. He's going
yeah,
as RB29. Like,
yeah.
get the
And
spoon out and start scooping the value.
and that's exactly why I love him so much. I even think that without Kyler Murray, he benefited a little bit more because he was a check down route way more often because teams without Kyler Murray, they were pressuring way more. Like defenses against Kyler Murray were pressuring way more because they know they can bottle in these other backup quarterbacks a lot more than they could ever contain Kyler Murray. You know, you're going to drop two linebackers back to just be spies with Kyler Murray versus you have the backup quarterback, Colt McCoy. You know he's not going to run anywhere. You're going to rush 5, 6 people every time. And then the check down route is always James Conner. So he's getting 5 to 6 catches every single time with these backup quarterbacks. So I think early on, you're going to see that he's going to get 5 to 6 catches a game. They might not be for 10, 20 yards, but they'll be for 5 to 7 yards. And he's still going to accrue more and more points because he's getting a lot of catches a game.
Yeah. Ben, damn, bro, this guy right before me is getting the best value on everyone, taking all my guys. Let's see who's going before Ben. Arch. He's got Eckler, Saquon, Justin Fields. So 3 RBs and a QB. No wide receivers through 4 rounds. Drake London, Tyler Lockett, Addison, Kadarius Toney, and Mooney. I completely agree with that, with having to catch up, going 5 in a row there. Let's see what Ben's doing. Bijan Robinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Jacobs, Lamar Jackson, JSN, Kyle Pitts, Cam Akers, Zay Flowers. I love it. I love it. You have some high upside rookies. Probably
That's
still
what I
need
was
to
gonna
catch
say.
up
That's a
at
high rookie team. That's a
probably
high
still
rookie
need to
team. I
catch
love
up
that.
at wide receiver. And in my opinion, the way to do that is to stop at 2 QBs. Let's see what Leo's doing. Leo in the chat. AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle, Joe Burrow, Christian Watson, Jahmyr Gibbs, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson. You got Zach Charbonnet. You got Dalton Schultz. So here, Joe Burrow at 33. I think that's a little later, right, than normal. Good. He should be going later than where he is right now. We still need to catch up at receiver, but I like the Jalen Hyatt profile for this team, just a burner type.
Yeah. And Hyatt's the type of guy that I think if he falls into the right hands, he could end up being the best receiver in this class. I know I had him at 5 in our rankings, in our short rankings, but I think if he falls into the right hands, he could end up being the best receiver in this class because he is a 6-foot receiver that runs a 4.240. So he's that burner guy that has an insane frame that runs faster than everyone else.
We're on the clock. We're on the clock. I'm between these two. Either way, Elijah Moore, I think he has a better year. Joshua Palmer, would be picking him, assuming that Keenan Allen moves on. But if he restructures, this pick would be shit.
I like Elijah Moore, assuming that they're going to get a new quarterback, which is
right. I mean, look at Garrett Wilson's
all the
price.
indications are.
Look at Garrett Wilson's price.
Are that they're going to get a new quarterback in New York, whether it's through the draft, whether they trade up, or whether they go out and they go for Rodgers or Derek Carr. Elijah Moore, I think at this draft, like at this ADP, I think he's actually really, really good bargain.
Let's go. Chesley, welcome to the pound, my man. You are just in time because we're giving our free rankings away to all subscribers of the pound, and they're in-depth rankings, not some janky shit you get somewhere else and you have to pay for it. Zay Flowers tape is flames. There's no way about it. It's
no doubt about it.
Zay Flowers. Now, if he ends up a Patriot, I mean, I'm happy over here, but then his fantasy value is it's not going to be great.
Zay Flowers.
It's not going to be great.
I've had my eye on him for the past couple of years. I'm a big college football guy, so I've had my eye on Flowers for a while. I know he's a fantastic talent. He's just undersized. He played on the outside a lot throughout college, and he was playing against lesser talent. You know, it's not to knock him in any way. he's fantastic, but he's playing against lesser talent than he was, and he was just bodying people left and right. I think once he gets to the NFL, it's going to be a little bit shell shock for him. If he tries to play on the outside, he's just far too undersized to play on the outside. But if he gets drafted, I think the same thing. If he gets drafted into the right place, he's going to
Oh my
be
God.
a
I agree.
fantastic player. He's
And
going to be
that's,
one of the best receivers in the league.
I
And
find myself more willing to draft a Jalen Hyatt, more willing to draft a Zay Flowers in this range because the team they end up on is going to matter more. It's going to matter more. So
absolutely.
you get a guy at 103 that goes to a team that has a quarterback, right? A needy team at wide receiver that it's a good position for them to fall into. That's going to be worth a lot more than a JSN going to, name any X team that needs a receiver.
I think
So
JSN might end up in New York, which
I've seen Baltimore. I've
I
seen a
think
lot on
I think he might be the
snipes.
most talented receiver in the class,
We're on
but
the clock. We're on the clock, and this range is really ugly. I would almost be tempted to go a Kyler for that late round, week 15, 16, 17 spike potential. Josh Allen has a good floor. Kyler should be
who's the
back
where are the
about
tight
time the
ends we're
bye
at with
weeks.
right?
It's it's thin. I'm okay with going tight end on the next pick. I don't like this wide receiver range. So here's my reasoning. Josh Allen is going to get you through the bye weeks. He's going to
Right.
get you until Kyler's healthy, right? So when Kyler's healthy, even if it takes 4 weeks, you're fine with this build.
Right. No, I agree definitely. Um, I was just curious where we're at with tight ends, like what the other tight ends are available on the board. See
I
who's
got some
little
thoughts.
bit later, but
We're gonna go 3 tight ends here. We're done at QB. Our running backs are extremely strong.
only reason I suggested tight end there was Dulcich. We know the Sean Payton offense has always flowed through tight ends.
Mhm.
Hopefully, that's kind of where they're moving towards. Dulcich will be flowing a little bit more. We saw him kind of take off halfway through the season, and he was one of the top 3 target getters throughout the entire season, and he only played half of the season for Denver. So I liked him a lot moving forward in that season. This season, I also do like Dulcich a lot just because the Sean Payton offense has always tended to be good for tight ends and tend really well to make tight ends flourish. So he's a young guy. I think
That's
he has
true.
potential for this
That
year.
that is true, but the difference between tight end, 8 and tight end 20 is going to be a matter of like 1.5 points a game. So if
Yeah,
we
no,
can
you're right.
get better value at, a position that is tougher. Now, if Russ, if we went Russ, I think we grab Dulcich there every day, and
Yeah,
twice with the days that ended Y. But I think we're going to have some pretty damn good values falling back to us still. And we have to go 3 anyways, whether we pick
yeah.
Dulcich there or not. Like, look at Juwan Johnson going at 190. So let me pull up a stat here that I found the other day, just doing some research on tight ends. So it was on David Njoku. He averaged 1 point or less more than Juwan Johnson, Cole Kmet, Tyler Higbee, Dawson Knox, and Pat Fryermuth. And you have Njoku going off the board at 98. Juwan Johnson goes off the board at 190. So this is the tight end that I want to fall back to us. He had some absolute spikes last year, and
Yeah.
we should get an improvement at quarterback play. Robert Woods is now gone. So some more opportunities have opened up. That being said, they have to touch on the offensive side of things, either in free agency or in the draft.
Yeah, and you hope that it's the right piece. Like we saw them draft Malik Willis, and we were kind of like, is he the successor to Tannehill? Is he going to be the next guy there? And they
It was bad.
very quickly faded away from him. So clearly they don't like him. They don't like his talent. They don't like that. They don't think that he's the next guy. So What are they going to do next? Is he another potential landing spot for Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers? The team's already built. They have a really good defense. Their pass defense is very suspect. They can grab some corners in the draft this year, but
Mhm.
the rest of the team is already built very well.
This is basically, honestly, I think you see a big fall off after this year for Derrick Henry. I think it starts this year, but I think next year, like, they have to win now. Now, that being said, I don't think they're going to do that just because, I mean, Treylon Burks going into year 2, other receivers that you can name, I mean, it's thin at receiver. So they need a QB and receivers. I think it's gonna be a reach for them to try to push for playoffs this year.
I think that they should be a playoff team this year, but as far as moving forward in the playoffs, I don't like their chances.
Alec Pierce, one of my favorites in this range. I have him ranked above all these receivers, and he's quickly moving towards where we have him ranked at like 140. Rondell Moore for some correlation with Kyler Murray. I think that's a good pick. Say Hodgins.
I like that pick because we've heard the link that Hopkins could be traded this year. And
right, exactly.
Outside of Hopkins and Rondell Moore, who else is on that team? Not really anybody. We saw AJ Green retire. AJ Green's hanging it up. Who else is there for pass catchers? Zach Ertz is coming off an ACL tear in the middle of the season, so we're not sure when he's going to be back either. So Rondell Moore is probably going to be the number one pass catcher. Granted, if they move on from DeAndre
They got
Hopkins.
Marquise. You got Marquise there. You gonna spread the field. I mean, when DeAndre Hopkins was out, Marquise Brown was a top 10 receiver every single week. So
Brown has always had the drop issue, though. I mean, we've seen it throughout his career. That guy drops more passes than anyone in the NFL.
But it only takes one, and you only need it on week 17 to win the big one. That's the way I see it.
That's right.
That's the way I see it. Shoot for the ceiling. Again, we're looking for all ceiling plays. Look at these. Diggs, I would argue Diggs is more of like a floor guy. He has the chance, like the opportunity to spike, but Josh Allen spreads the ball so damn well that Diggs, he has it in his range of outcomes, right? He's just typically, he has that better floor than most. Amari Cooper with the spikes, Marquise Brown, Gabe Davis, obviously boom or bust. Jalen Hyatt is a burner in this year's draft. Elijah Moore, we'll kind of see speculative ad, and then a Rondell Moore for correlation. So we got James Conner, Marquise Brown, Rondell Moore, and Kyler Murray. Super interesting. If Hopkins were to move on, I think this team would be lighting it up.
Yeah, so I like this a lot. We have a lot of like prospective guys where, it's dependent on what the team does throughout the offseason. All of these guys could end up being number ones at their position. So
let's see what Leo does. I like Leo's squad too.
Leo in the chat?
Yeah, Leo's in the chat. Probably need to stop going running back at this point, but who's on the board for receivers? Probably would have went Curtis Samuel there.
If you are also in the chat and you're new to the Pound, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out so much. We love doing the live streams for everyone. So just hit that like, hit that sub for us. We love having everyone here.
And you get the free draft rankings and guide.
Draft guide.
Which is, it's free. We need a running back here. Do we just go with the story that Carolina re-signs Foreman and they draft a quarterback instead of a running back? I think that works.
It works. I would have gone.
You got to tell a story.
I was going to say Mostert might have been a little bit better of a play there.
Do you think they touch on running back though in the draft? Miami
probably not.
Really?
I don't think Miami does anything with the running backs this year. I think,
but even with Jeff Wilson there too, after they added Jeff Wilson, Mostert's production went down.
I think that's why I don't think they're going to do anything with the running backs in the draft. I think Carolina has to do something with the running backs here in the draft. I think they're going to go running. They're going to focus on running back, quarterback. We saw the defense actually play really well last year. They drafted really well. They drafted J.C. Horn, who quietly finished as one of the best corners in the NFL as far as
Mhm.
QBR against and pass completions against. So that was something that got kind of overlooked over last year, that he quietly finished as one of the best corners in the league. And their
Foreman
defense has been good, but
Foreman had 5 games above 100 yards last year, and he had a 3-touchdown game to go with a 118-yard performance. He had a 165-yard performance and a touchdown. So he shows the ability to spike, and he's I don't know if they look to replace him in the draft. We'll see. And even if they can, day 2, if they wait on running
yeah,
back. So
I do think
day
that
1 will matter.
this draft is very offensive heavy. I think there's a lot of offensive players in this draft that are going to, depending on where they go, they can actually end up being top tier position players for their
Yeah.
team, but it's all dependent on where they go. So
Leo says, I have to get all the running backs. Like they're freaking goddamn Pokemon, collecting them all right now.
collect them all.
Richardson's ADP is going to be in this 170 range pretty soon. In this range, I like Tyquan Thornton, especially for our build. And then on the way
I
back
think
around, maybe
John
we grab
Mechie
a
might
tight
be a
end.
better play. You know
Definitely
you know
more range of
Houston-
outcomes.
You know Houston's going to upgrade in the draft. At pick 2, you know they're going to upgrade in the draft.
They might lose
whether-
Myers though. They might lose Aguilar, and I think they both don't resign. Wow, this is a reach. This guy's been reaching
I just
all
like
day, though.
Mechie. I think that Mechie
We'll go Mechie.
They drafted him last year to be the number 1 receiver. Obviously, he had the health issues that, you
I have
can't
39.
really
I have 39% Tyquan Thornton. I'm okay with going
So
Mechie there. we'll call it a balance of exposures. So the next 12 drafts, I'll go Thornton. I don't mind it. There's definitely a larger range of outcomes for Mechie.
I do
where
think
does he
Mechie ends up
rank?
being the number 1 receiver on that team at the end of the season, just because he's more talented than an older, aging Brandon Cooks. He's more talented than anyone else they have
Who
on
won't
that team
be
right
there
now.
next year. Cooks won't be there next year.
It's highly doubtful that he's going to be there next year. And they're going to upgrade to the draft in quarterback position this year. Running back with Dameon Pierce.
Where would Mechie go if he was in this year's draft class? That's what I try to ask myself when I'm going to draft him. And we're going to take one of these Arizona. I like Trey McBride better than Zach Ertz. I just think he ends up taking the lead role. And you have more injury. Like Zach Ertz is coming off serious injuries.
So the way I looked at it is, even without Zach Ertz, Trey McBride never really commanded more targets. He never popped off and never commanded that target share that Zach Ertz was getting.
Week 17, he was in the winner's circle on a lot of teams.
Week 17 was kind of that outlier, but I think for the most part, you saw where his ceiling and where his floor was.
Yeah.
His floor is super, super low. His ceiling is very mediocre, middle of the realm. I just think Zach Ertz, even with the injury, I still think he's going to finish as tight end 1 on that team.
We'll see. There is definitely a chance. Obviously, at the end of the season, what I find is interesting, the last 4 weeks, Zach Ertz didn't play more than 34% of snaps, where Trey McBride played a minimum of 73% all 4 weeks. And if you want to go back even further to week 11, the last 6 weeks, Zach Ertz didn't play more than 34% of snaps, and Trey McBride played a minimum of 76%. So you could see him start to take that lead role over Zach Ertz. It's a secret, and I'm not telling many people.
I think it's a lot of it has to go with the blocking situation. Zach Ertz has never been a good blocking quarterback or blocking tight end. He's a good route runner. He's never been a blocking tight end. So I think they use McBride a lot in their pistol because they know he's a good blocker. He doesn't do a lot of, if you go to the target share, in this offense
Where
too.
am I?
Like he doesn't command targets.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're just going to have to wait and see. I like the younger blood. I think he has more upside than Zach Ertz,
Hey,
especially
I
if
love
a
it.
Zach Ertz gets hurt. And then even if he doesn't, he's on the field for 70% plus. I'm just going to go with the younger blood there. I think he has higher upside
I love it.
for
I
the
love
end of the year.
differentiating. I love being differentiating yourself from the other lineup. So I like Trey McBride.
So we're caught up at receiver, I would say. And tight end, we could go Juwan Johnson here, or we can go a running back if one of these running backs stick out to you.
Patterson, not so much. We saw that he kind of
7
fell off.
seconds, 6 seconds.
I think Jeff Wilson. I like the Miami running back situation.
Okay.
I really do. It's two guys that are both really good pass catchers. They utilize them both a lot.
10 picks
Jeff
after
Wilson
ADP.
probably seems a little bit more comfortable in that offensive system right now, just because he came from San Francisco, is moving to Miami with the same head coach or offensive coordinator to the same head coach.
Yeah, and it was fluid. I mean, that first game, I mean, they put him in the system and he was good to go.
That's just how McDaniels likes to use his running backs, as like those kind of X factor guys that run out. They split out wide sometimes. They run a lot of routes. So I do think that both Wilson and Mostert fit very well in that offensive scheme and are both going to be utilized a lot.
I think McCole Hardman's interesting here. Going around pick 200 if this guy can be healthy. And I don't care if he's only healthy for week 15, 16, 17. I don't care if those are the only 3 weeks he's healthy for. He's shown the potential to spike. And he's that gadget guy, sort of like a Kadarius Toney. So if Kadarius Toney stays healthy, McCole Hardman's role's diminished. But both of these guys right now should just combine body parts to make one healthy receiver. That's my opinion. Jelani Woods off the board at 205 here. Let's see how.
I mean, we're caught up at receiver, but Rashid Rice still on the board. Any pounders out there that are
Ben
drafted
Haskell
with
going
us?
Kirk Cousins, Josh Downs, David Montgomery, Geno Smith, Isaiah Hodgins, DJ Chark, Tank Bigsby. I like it. Sean Johnson, Noah Fant, Isaiah Likely. All right, so we still get Juwan Johnson falling back to us. I think we select him here. We got 20 picks after ADP.
Yeah.
That's
value there. That's what value is, the pound.
That's value. That's dirty. So, yeah, what do we think with the end of this build? One receiver and one running back?
What's Shay's team looking like? Shay's Lay. Hope I have that name right.
Where is it?
I don't know.
Oh, Ches?
Oh, second one. Ches Lee. Oh, yeah.
Keep the squad. Okay. What team is
Second
he?
team. Second team.
Second team. Ches. Thank you.
Spot.
Jamar Chase, Jalen Hurts, which falling to almost the 2-3 turns really nice because I haven't seen that yet in really 55 drafts. So Jamar Chase, Jalen Hurts, Derrick Henry, Christian Kirk, Dallas Goedert, Treylon Burks, Deontay Johnson, Jacoby Myers, Rashad White, Danny Dimes, got Wan'Dale Robinson, so a little stacky stack, Antonio Gibson, Devon A-Chain. You got Damian Harris, Rashid Shaheed, Tim Patrick, Kendry Miller. You're on a lot of the players that I'm on, which is extremely funny.
It's good.
The only pick that I think is, you know what? I'm fine with it. You have Deontay Johnson and Jacoby Myers. In my opinion, they're both floor guys, but I think it works because you have these upside guys like Chase. You have Treylon Burks. You have Wan'Dale Robinson, Rashid Shaheed, obviously a burner, one of the highest ADOTs last year, average depth of target. Tim Patrick, I like. Whether they move Judy or not, I like Tim Patrick at this range at 190. I'm going all in. Obviously, Kendry Miller has been raising up the draft boards. We have a disgusting amount of Miller when he was going in the 220s, 22%. We'll probably sit around that.
He's going to be in one of our shorts soon.
Hunter Henry and Michael Carter. Yeah, it's a beautiful squad.
It's a really good team.
2782.
That's just value. A lot of really good value picks too.
And it's going and getting your guys too, right? Like, look at this. Danny Dimes, 17 picks after ADP. That's not supposed to
Yeah,
happen with a guy with rushing upside. So good job scooping that.
exactly.
And good job stopping at 2 QBs. If you go a third QB, like let's say he selects a Ryan Tannehill, where the chances Ryan Tannehill outscores Jalen Hurts is extremely thin already. But then you add that with Daniel Jones too, and the pick is a waste. And I think a lot of people fail to recognize when you go an elite tight end, you're expecting them to absolutely kind of pay off their value.
Yeah,
I'm going Deuce here. It's just an upside rookie RB. Um, if they don't, right? So if Jalen Hurts doesn't, then the team it probably busts, right? Just because you select Ryan Tannehill in the last doesn't mean it's going to save your squad. Like
yeah,
you're out. So you have to draft like that. You have to draft like that, and let's grab that value somewhere else because if
without a
Hurts
doubt.
goes down,
Yep.
it's not going to matter anyways. That's the way I like to look at it. That's the way you're supposed to look at it with the most upside in mind. I mean, we have
So
112,000 teams you're playing against. That being
even
said,
when we
it's
look at like the wide receivers that are there right now, I know we have pounders that are in the draft right now with us. Um, Rasheed Rice is a guy that I think will end up in the right hands, and I think that he could end up winning offensive rookie of the year, just
oh
because of
my.
how talented he actually is. He is like him and I think him and Nathaniel Dell are the two biggest sleepers in this draft right now, like in the wide receiver position, because of how talented they actually are, but they played in lower market teams, so they didn't get as much attention. I think once this combine comes out, you're going to see those types of guys fly up people's draft boards. They're going to skyrocket because they're extremely talented. They have all the tools to be wide receiver ones, but they just played in lower market teams and they ended up, falling to a
Ah.
lot of people there.
Mims off the board. Someone we're going to be interested in. Obviously, Ben taking one of our guys as well. Let's see if Leo goes 3 for 3. These last two rounds, I really like to go high upside guys, rookies that if they end up on the right team, like you said, you're getting yourself into a good situation. I think we have a good balance of rookies, so we'll add another one to the team, and it's between Nathaniel Dell or Cedric Tillman. Let's go Dell.
I think you got to go Dell here. You saw what he did in Houston. Led the entire FBS in yards and touchdowns over the last 2 years, not just 1 year, over the last 2 years. And this is over players like JSN, Quentin
Yep.
Johnston, Rasheed Rice, like all these guys, like Jalen Hiley, like these guys that popped off for 1 or 2 years. Dell's been consistently like popping off, and he's done it. Like I said, he's done it at a lower market, so that's why his attention is not as high. So I
I
think if he
think people
falls
are
into
all
the right
worried about
hands,
he's not an early declare, right? Which is a huge red flag for receivers. You want to see that early declare, but he produced his senior year, so it's a tricky one. Again, it's a 20th round pick. If he ends up on the right team, like it's good. It really matters for landing spots with these rookies. So you're throwing darts in the 19th and 20th round, but if you bet on skill, like you said, it's how you put yourself in the best situation. Let's
for sure,
just
for sure.
we're gonna jump into another one real quick. Just peek the squad. Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, with Nick Chubb, DeAndre Swift, James Conner, Donta Foreman, Jeff Wilson, Deuce Vaughn, Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, Marquise Brown, Gabe Davis, Jalen Hyatt, Elijah Moore, Rondell Moore. We got the Moore brothers. Just kidding, they're not brothers. John Mechie, Nathaniel Dell, and 3 tight ends. Give me any 3 at the end. I think we actually got some upside with these, though. Let's see. Let's see how Ches ended off the draft. Damon Harris, Rashid, who went Tim Patrick, Kendrick Miller, Hunter Henry, Michael Carter, and Luke Musgrave. Ben went Tank, Rashawn Johnson, Noah Fant, Isaiah Likely, Rasheed Rice, and Tyler Scott. So he picks up both of them at the end there.
Nice.
Leo with, let's go over Leo's full team. I don't think we've done it yet. AJ Brown, Waddle, Joe Burrow, Christian Watson, Jahmyr Gibbs, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson, Zach Charbonnet, just Dalton Schultz, AJ Dillon, Elijah Mitchell, who I love this range for him. This is sort of where he should be going, maybe even a little sooner, like, maybe around 120. I think he can drop to. Sean Tucker, CJ Stroud, Leo Fournette, Adam Thielen, Hayden Hurst, Isaiah McKenzie, Cordell Patterson, Richie James, and Devin Duvernay. Devin Duvernay was on fire to start the season last year. And then when Bateman went down, everyone thought they ran into gold with their last round pick last year going Devin Duvernay. But it only got worse. It only got worse when Bateman went down.
They forgot what wide receivers were at that point.
You could kind of see that Duvernay's he's like a gadget guy, return guy, but like not the best route runner. So yeah. I know the board's thin at the end there. I just wonder who else was there. So let's do a little countdown. We'll try to get a couple more of you in this next draft. I think we have three pounders in that one. That's pretty good. I'm going to do a countdown.
Right back from the screen. I just got to go check something really quick.
You're good, dude. Countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jump on in. Waiting on 10 people. This is going to be a tough draft with all you sickos in the chat joining up. We're ready for it. Put me in between Ben and Ches, and let's have some fun. Guys, if you haven't already, drop a like on the live stream. It helps tremendously if you guys keep showing up. I'm going to as well. I'm working on that free draft ranking guide for everybody. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel. We'll be sending that out as soon as Tuesday. And it's in depth. We got player notes and all that. It's been a grind. A lot of late nights working on this thing. And honestly, it's like, man, I wish I paid attention in school a little more, like this formatting stuff, but we got it real nice. So it took a little bit, but it's something that I want to be proud of when I'm done with it. So the top 3 do advance in the big board to week 15. And then week 15, you're going to be regrouped with another 12 teams, and the top 3 will advance to week 16. Then you're going to be grouped with 10 teams, and 1 will advance to week 17, leaving 470 teams remaining, playing for $200K up top to the big guy or gal. So very interesting. Ches, thanks for coming out. Always appreciate you. Welcome to the pound. So glad you found the channel. Truly appreciate you. All right, it's starting up. We get the 1 spot, and of course, right next to Paul. We're going to be sniping each other all day long. Leo in the chat. We got Joseph. I don't know if he's in the chat, but the name is familiar. Always drafting. Toast, probably in the live stream. 4-digit IQ. We got the HJ Art, the fat man. I hope you're in the live stream. If not, you'll know about it on Twitter soon enough. Yeah, there he is.
There he is.
At least you don't have to worry about me sniping any rookies. I've been giving this guy rookies in his DMs almost daily. He's been posting his lineups on Twitter. I was like, Art, dude, why do you hate rookies so much? Why do you hate rookies? But we got him. Art. We got him on the right track now.
Have you watched my shorts? Have you watched my shorts, bro? Come on.
For a second, I thought you said, "Have you washed my shorts?" Like that would be
both. That'd be great. I'd like some laundry done for me.
Just got here. Who is the other cat on the stream? Tyler, the young whiz. So these people at the bottom, I know you haven't met Johnny or Tyler yet. Tyler is our shorts guy. He's also another sharp. We like drafting with Tyler. So give him some love on the shorts he posts. Give him some love on TikTok, which we just started. And I hate TikTok. Being 32 years old, it's like what is this? What is this stuff? But if it
Hey,
helps get exposure, I'm for it.
I'm 24 and I hate TikTok too, but we got to get the content out. We got to get it to the people. People need to know. People need to hear my knowledge.
Hey, definitely, Dennis. Welcome to the live stream. Ben, I think this is going to be the last one unless Tyler wants to take over the reins, be an absolute savage on a solo pod. But I think this is the last one. But we'll see. I've seen crazier thing happen. So this is exactly what I think should happen. And then this should be like AJ Brown and then Eckler. You could argue Travis Kelce here.
At that ADP, I do like it. I know we had
seven or
talked
eight.
about
I'm
this
fine with
before.
Kelce.
Like, if he falls to 7-8 there, I'm fine with taking him. Just because you have the advantage over everyone else in the league. We've seen it last year. We've seen it the last 2-3 years. Like, we thought Mark Andrews was going to kind of surpass him last year, but Andrews sort of regressed. I know Lamar Jackson wasn't there the entire season. The wide receivers were kind of So it was just easier for teams to hone in on him, but he regressed last year like heavily. So just having Kelce makes your team that much better because you're probably going to have tight end one at the end of the season and no one else is going to have him.
So Mark Andrews regressed, right? But there's also a lot of bad that happened in Baltimore. If we expect that same amount of bad to happen, which you really can't, 33 is interesting for Andrews. I'm not fading him. I'm not super high on him, but I'm going to want my 10% of Mark Andrews in this range because it's in his range of outcomes to finish as tight end one. He did it in 2021. Over Kelce. Now, that being said, Kelce's been tight end one 5 of 6 years in a row. Yeah. So I like 8 for him. And Eckler, I think, has some unknown. It's a team that's been trying to draft a running back for 3 years straight. So
yeah. And drafting Spiller last year was
in the 4th,
kind of an indication like we might not want to pay Eckler all this money. We might not want to move him forward because Eckler didn't run for over 100 yards last season in a single game.
Right.
So he's
but
not
didn't
like
need to. Didn't need
he
to.
didn't need to.
He's
but
actually
he's not the workhorse
first
running back.
He's the first running back. I read this the other day. I can't remember where, otherwise I would give them credit. He was the first running back to finish RB1 and not rush for 1,000 yards. I thought that was extremely neat. It just shows that he has a high floor with his role in the passing game.
And that says a lot about the Chargers offense is that they don't like to use the running back a whole lot in the running game. Like they don't like to turn around and hand the ball off a ton. And with Justin Herbert there, they're going to want to let the kid loose. They need to see what they have in him. They know he has a cannon for an arm, but what else is he capable of doing? Is he capable of making clutch throws at clutch times? Is he capable of winning games with just his arm?
So Devonta Smith was the guy I wanted to select. I know I'm going DK. Who do you like here? I want Chris Olave in this range.
I like Olave at that range. I do also like T. Higgins at this range just because there's still the rumor swirling that he could be traded and he'll end up as a wide receiver one somewhere else. He's a wide receiver one on 30 other teams in the NFL. Maybe not 30, but he's a wide receiver one in probably half the teams in the NFL. So if not more.
I like Smith. I want Smith and
potential.
Olave. I have a lot of DK, so this is just kind of an exposure smooth out, reaching up a little bit for
I
Olave
also think
here.
with Olave, like you have to factor in like the quarterback situation. You don't know where he's going to, where his quarterback's going to be. It could end up being Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers. I know they've both been linked somewhat to New Orleans. I know Derek Carr said no to being traded there, but he could end up signing there. He just might not want to benefit Las Vegas in any way. So he could end up signing in New Orleans, which would benefit Olave greatly. I know Higgins being traded is kind of like an up in the air thing where we're not
I
sure
don't
where
think
he's going to
Cincy can
go. But
afford to trade him. I think Cincy has a Super Bowl caliber team, and they would actually be stupid to trade T. Higgins right now. That being
I
said,
agree.
they're probably not going to want to sign him to, more than a 4-year deal.
I
But
agree.
they're in a position where you have a Super Bowl caliber team. Why would you trade your wide receiver 2 on the team right now? I fully expect him to be in Cincinnati next year, and I think
I
this is a good value for where he's going,
Oh
returning
yeah,
to
absolutely.
Cincinnati.
I
I would
fully
rather him
expect
on
him to be there
Cincinnati
too.
and be a wide receiver 2 on the team than go to the Bears and be wide receiver 1. You know what I mean? Like, the
Yeah,
value of that pass game in Cincinnati is so important.
I 100% agree with you there.
Because
It's
if he does return to Cincy, right? But if it was already set in stone, wouldn't he be going by Jalen Waddle?
Yeah, no, absolutely. He should be going higher than Jalen Waddle, in my opinion. I think he's a better player than Jalen Waddle. I think he's in a more pass heavy offense than Jalen Waddle. I think the way that Cincinnati needs to play this draft is by drafting offensive linemen. We know that Burrow has been under pressure for his first 2-3 seasons in the NFL. Like, that guy has not been able to stay up on his feet because the offensive line has been bad. So they're going to go with offensive linemen, and I think it just benefits T. Higgins.
Tyler, do you want to answer Paul here? Because the people have spoken. We need Tyler on Twitter.
Oh, my Twitter handle is whatever the Pound's Twitter handle is. That is
Nope.
my Twitter handle.
Nope. He's going to be
I don't.
making a custom Twitter handle later today. It's set.
Yep. It's done. It's set. I'll make a Twitter just for this. I don't have a personal Twitter, but I'll make one if that's what the Pound wants.
That's what the Pound wants. The Pound has spoken.
It's fair
Guys, if you
enough.
haven't already, you're new to the stream, drop a like on the live stream. It helps us tremendously. We're doing these drafts all off season. If you want to get in these drafts with us, subscribe to the Pound. You'll also get our free draft rankings. Hit the bell for notifications, and you'll be the first one to jump in these drafts with us. Let's see how we're doing here with. So Paul goes Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, DK Metcalf. So we're just scooping wide receivers over here. No surprise there. Leo goes Cooper Kupp, Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne getting his 2 stud RBs. Joe has got Stephon Diggs, Jalen Waddle, and Lamar Jackson. Toast, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, and Derrick Henry. Travis Kelce with the Patty Mahomes stack, followed by a Josh Jacobs and another tight end. Interesting. Maybe trying something different. A.J. Wigglesworth, which is in every single one of our drafts. Austin Eckler, Jonathan Taylor, Mark Andrews, and Christian Watson. And Artie, A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, DeAndre Hopkins, and Tony Pollard. I love that value on Tony. I love that value on Tony Pollard. I don't think people realize that he didn't really play much more than 50% of the snaps last year just because his role and with the role of Zeke. But he's ultra efficient, and he's way more efficient. He's the better back, but he finished as RB7 last year, and
Yeah.
he's going off the board as what, RB13, and he only
Yeah.
played in 16 games out of the 17. So I
Yeah.
think his ADP is kind of broken. I don't know. So
It's always
I
going
don't
to
know
be
if it's
limited.
better if Zeke returns or if they look to draft elsewhere. You know what I
It's
mean? Like, what
always
would
going to
you
be
hope for?
limited by Zeke. They invested too much money into Zeke
Nice.
where the point where they're not going to want to turn away from Zeke. They put too much money into that pit and they
We're on the
don't
board.
want to go away from it.
We're on the board. I think Najee is the perfect RB1 here.
Absolutely.
He
Yeah.
fell a few picks, and
Yep.
then I'm looking at wide receiver specifically. You can make the argument for Jerry Terry.
I think you have to go. I mean, I think Terry McLaurin is probably the best play here out of these guys.
This
His
is a
new
good
offensive
exposure, smooth out
coordinator.
pick. If we go Terry, it's definitely
New
good
offensive
exposure, smooth out.
coordinator, Eric Bieniemy. That's a pass heavy offense he's coming from. He's a
Yeah.
pass heavy guy. Sam Howell's probably it's trending towards Sam Howell to be the quarterback one over there. He
Yeah.
finished in North Carolina being a pass heavy guy. Kirk, we obviously know that he's going to be competing a lot of targets now with Calvin Ridley and I don't remember who the other receiver was on the board. It wasn't London. There was
Kirk.
someone else
You had,
there.
you had Kirk there. You had Judy.
Judy.
Now,
Judy was the other guy that I was a little bit unsure of, just because you don't know where he's going to get traded to. Like, he
right.
could be traded. He could sign somewhere else. Like, we don't know where he's going to end up this season. Even if he ends up back in Denver, is he going to be wide receiver 1?
I think
Courtland
so.
Sutton's still there.
I
still think Courtland Sutton is a better player for Russell Wilson just because of the route tree that he runs. Like I touched on earlier in the stream. Shorter quarterbacks
love Courtland Sutton though. You got like extreme boyfriend bias towards Courtland Sutton.
No.
So I'm sorry to everybody.
Have a different route tree that runs. Jerry Jeudy is a north and south wide receiver. Courtland Sutton is a good route runner. Jerry Jeudy is not a good route runner.
Right,
he's a good vertical route runner, but he's not a good short route runner.
Jerry Jeudy won us 25 G's, so we go with the Jerry Jeudy
without Courtland Sutton playing in that game, though. Without Courtland Sutton playing in that game,
dude, I think Russell Wilson just he picked his clear favorite target last year. It was Jerry Jeudy, even when both of them were on the field. And Sean Payton, I don't think is going to change that for Courtland Sutton. Now, you are getting Courtland Sutton at a discount this year. Was completely off, both of them. But I would rather go Tim Patrick at pick 198 than go a Courtland Sutton at pick, 90? Wherever his ADP. I want to say it's around 90.
Ben doesn't like my Broncos take. Ben doesn't like my Broncos take.
I love it. Right now. I love it, Ben. Throw the dirt at the screen.
Ben doesn't like it.
You're off Twitter again, just like that. Boom, you were on, and now you're off.
I'm thrown off Twitter.
Now,
hey, I'm just saying, when Courtland Sutton finishes wide receiver 1 in Denver, I don't want you coming back in the chat and saying, "Oh, I knew Courtland Sutton was going to be wide receiver 1."
Honestly, I'm gonna remember I think Courtland Sutton's ADP is only here because of the chance Jerry Jeudy leaves. That's the only time I'm drafting him, is with that in mind. Like, this
That's
ADP
fair.
has to be worth it if Jerry Jeudy leaves. If he doesn't, he's probably not going to pay out at pick 85. There's other upside players that we could be going in this range, like a Zay Flowers at 93, a Hyatt at 105, a Jahan Dotson that goes just one pick sooner, and Bateman. So I haven't been gravitating towards Courtland Sutton. I'd be surprised if I have him on a single team, to be honest. 0 Courtland Sutton. We're going to try to keep it that way, folks.
Hey,
Tyler, you can grab the shares for us on your end. It only takes 1 week to be right for it to matter. So maybe he has that week 17 smash.
All I'm saying, Drew Brees was a shorter quarterback in the NFL. Look what Mike Thomas did with those couple of years with Drew Brees.
The slant king, though.
That's exactly what it is.
Here goes Paul sniping our pick, guaranteed.
Love short running routes. That's how it is.
I love this range for running back. This range for running back is so nice. Yes. Sometimes you got to throw a little diversion in there. Not going Mixon here. Although he did fall, I think he still has a little bit to go. I like Dobbins. I like these two. Also like Algier and Cam Akers, but I think Treylon Burks adds a nice little ceiling for us. Like, this wide receiver room's looking beefy right now.
It is looking really good as a wide receiver room. Dobbins as an RB2. I think he could definitely finish as a top 10 RB this season, especially if Lamar
run first offense.
It is a run first offense. It's a run heavy offense. They're a pistol offense first. That's just how they operate. So
yes. We need these tweets on Twitter just so we can BM the hell out of Tyler. 100%.
All right, I'm gonna make a Twitter tonight, and I'm gonna throw all my hot takes on there. I can get favorited, I can get quote tweeted, whatever.
We're gonna get banned. We're gonna get banned for these takes. I just took Pierce as my RB4. Might stop there. Let's see what Ben's doing. Ben is. That's not Ben. Ben, where you at?
I don't think Ben's in this
Oh,
draft. I think he said
Ben's
he
in
got
another
a
draft.
different
That's right.
draft. I think he said he
Interesting.
joined earlier, but
Well, who are the other 3 RBs? Curious. Because if he's your RB4, you probably only need 4 running backs because he's going around pick like 65. Dude, I've been doing so many drafts that I have the picks zoned in like within 3. That's scary. It's so early. It's not even March yet.
Hey, we haven't even hit the draft yet. Just wait for these running back shorts to come out, and
let's read off the top exposures for the people in the live stream. They deserve this.
Ben just commented really quick too.
Yep.
That his other RBs are CMC, Kenneth Walker, and Najee Harris.
Yeah.
I think you stop at RB.
Stop at 4. I think that's super interesting to do that.
Those are all RB1s. Those are all RB1s.
Let's go to this. So my top exposures right here. We have Elijah Mitchell at 40%. I was getting him at pick 155. Like on average, I probably have him around 155, 150. Tyquan Thornton at 32%, Alec Pierce 32%, DPJ 30%, Hunter Henry 30%, Tyler Algier 29%, Cole Kmet 27%, Jelani Woods 27%, Tim Patrick 25%. And I actually have Amon-Ra at 25% because when this opened up, this tournament, he was going around pick 19 or 20. And I was selecting him all right here, 18, 19, every single time because people are drafting the 3 QBs in this range. As you can see, they are starting to move back a little bit, and Amon-Ra St. Brown starting to go with this 1-2 turn. So I've got a lot of value on Amon-Ra St. Brown early, which I'm very happy with.
Yeah.
This is when you can expose those early values too.
It's going to be a gun heavy offense. Like, we know the Lions defense, like no matter who they draft, they're not going to be a top 10 defense in the NFL. They're not going to be a top 20 defense in the NFL. So they're going to be playing from behind. They're going to need to score a lot of points. And that's just how they operated last year. That's how they're going to operate this year.
It's the best.
Amon-Ra is going to be a target monster this year for that team.
Yeah, for sure. You have JMO, who's now there to spread the field. It just seems like the perfect mix for Amon-Ra St. Brown. And you could argue I'm selecting him right now, and this is in the draft guide. I'm selecting him ahead of Bijan and Saquon Barkley at pick 13. Been doing it for a while now. But if JMO can spread the field, Amon-Ra St. Brown's only going to have an easier time in the slot. He finished as wide receiver 8 last year in half PPR. But really, he finished wide receiver 9 because Chase, if he didn't get hurt, we expect him to finish ahead of Amon-Ra. But he's 23 years old. He's going into his 3rd season. He's priced, I think at his floor. But again, it's tournament style play. He has the opportunity to spike. So we don't want to fade anyone like that in that range too. So might have to do a little balance with those running backs now. With Amon-Ra going early, maybe now we switch over to selecting like a Bijan at 14 or 15. This is a good time to go Kirk Cousins with JJ. And we could argue
I like Cousins.
I know we don't have the
Dak
stack.
Prescott person.
I know we don't have the stack.
I think Njoku's a good play
17
here.
picks late. I don't like Njoku. He's one of those middle tight ends. He's one of those middle round tight ends that I'd rather select someone in the last 3 rounds. I don't think he gives you a positional advantage.
I think he could finish as a top 3 tight end.
Give me a QB.
That's my take.
Give me a QB. Give me a QB.
Jones. I
rushing upside. We needed upside at QB.
Dak Prescott throws more interceptions than he does touchdowns. So
it doesn't matter. So did Jameis Winston. 30 touchdowns, 30 picks, and he won
I'm
us a
saying,
lot of money that year.
yeah, but Dak Prescott throws 20 touchdowns and 19 interceptions and
Buddy,
has one
if you
rushing touchdown.
throw picks, that means you just got to catch up later when you're on offense. I like when
Yeah,
you know what's better than picks is pick sixes, because then they get the ball right back and you're throwing the ball. That's what Jameis
that's
Winston is
fair.
best at. Throwing pick sixes.
Yeah, that's fair. But that's why I hate Dak Prescott is he throws them in the red zone. He doesn't throw interceptions on his own 20. He
Right.
throws picks in the red
Right.
zone. He doesn't know
I
how to throw
agree.
to his own receivers in the red zone.
I agree. I typically want to stack with Dak, but when he goes 17 picks after ADP, it gets me thinking about it. Now, Danny Dimes is someone you don't need to stack, obviously, because he has that rushing upside on his own.
Yeah.
I think the running backs here are also a great value, but we have two workhorses, in my opinion. So I think we caught up on QB really quick there. In tight end, like a Njoku, that's a hot take. I like that. Like, you think that he can finish as a top 3 tight end?
I do.
I don't
think
I don't disagree. Is it in the realm of possibilities? Like, it is. It is. Now, I don't put him as the top 2, but that 3 spot all the way to 5 is really up for grabs every single year.
yeah, it's an interest. The tight end position is probably the most interesting position that we have right now for fantasy, just because it's either Travis Kelce or anyone else. Like, we're not really sure who else is going to be there at the top. Like, we thought it was going to be Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce, like, as the clear front runners this year, but other people like Hawkinson and Ertz were kind of like neck and neck there, up at like 2 and 3 until Ertz got hurt, and then Hawkinson had a couple blow up weeks at the end of the season. But the tight end position is just a
Evan
weird one
Ingram
where there's
really
really
caught up at the
nobody.
end as well
Yeah, it's another guy
with that one blow up game.
I really like this year is Evan Ingram, but the tight end position just is super hard to draft for, because you either draft super high or you draft super late, because you're either reaching for a Travis Kelce or a Mark Andrews and hoping that they're going to be tight end 1 and 2, or you're just drafting late for guys that can make up for that slack of, the 8 to 10 point differentials.
Right. Now, I think when you're not getting, like, you want to think upside, right? So, like, Travis Kelce has the upside, obviously. Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, Kittle. I'm fine with these ADPs. Kyle Pitts, I like his position more than a Drake London. Hot take, maybe. We'll see if there's a QB change, and my opinion will change strongly based on who's there. But Dallas Goedert, I don't love this ADP for him. Probably never selecting him there without Hurts. And then let's go, like, the next tight end off the board is Evan Ingram at 95, Darren Waller at 98, Njoku. So whether you go Njoku, Evan Ingram, or even a Darren Waller, like, you still need 3 tight ends anyways.
Exactly.
In a 20-round draft. Now, in an 18-round draft, your strategy might change, and I might be more on board with a David Njoku and going 2 middle round tight ends and then being done at tight end. But right now in these 20-round drafts, I'm really pushing off tight end if I'm not getting one of the top 4 guys.
And one of the tight ends, like, out of this draft that I really like to come in super, super late is Darnell Washington out of
Yes,
Georgia.
sir. Absolute monster.
A freak.
What's he, like 7? He's like 7 feet tall.
6'7", 270 pounds. Like, he'd be the heaviest weighted tight end, the tallest tight end ever drafted in NFL history. So he's a guy that is being projected around 1st to 2nd round pick. And if he falls to the right team, that's why the NFL draft is so crucial, because, like, a lot of these guys, they can fall into the wrong system just because they are so talented and they don't utilize tight ends. Like, if a guy like that were to fall into the Jets, who has never thrown a pass to a tight end in the NFL, like, in their career.
And for fantasy football purposes, Darnell Washington is a pass catching tight end. Now we're on the
Yeah.
clock here with the double click, and I like the value we're getting on AJ Dillon falling 14 picks. I don't own a lot of AJ Dillon, but this seems like the range that I would select him in. And then I'm also curious on your thoughts on reaching up for Cole Kmet because he's one of my favorite tight ends in this range.
You had the same take last year with Cole Kmet. I wasn't as high on Cole Kmet last year.
But
I know
he
you liked
showed
Kmet
the
a lot.
capability to
He
have 2
showed that
touchdown
capability.
games. Same with Schultz.
If
What do you
we're
think?
looking strictly on who gets utilized more, I would go with Dalton Schultz just because Dallas.
Then we should have went Dak.
Dallas throws the ball way more. I know we could have gone Dak. We should have gone Dak, but I don't know if Schultz was actually going to fall this late. But
I know. Hey, everything's 2020 in hindsight. So I'm just
exactly. But
I like that. So we actually scooped some good value there. We got Schultz 17 picks after ADP, and we got AJ Dillon 14. So just scoop the value here. I 100% agree. I'm addicted to drafting Cole Kmet in this range. I've been drafting him over Knox religiously this whole time. If Palmer was there, I'm drafting him over Juju. These running backs like Wandale, I think KJ Osborne's interesting for our build with Kirk Cousins, but I'm not reaching up for him in this range.
Kmet's a guy that I would like stack with Dalton Schultz because realistically, I don't think either of those guys is ever going to go for 20-point games the same week. But I think they both have that potential to go for 20-point games multiple times this season. Do I think they're going to do it at the same time? Probably not, because it's less likely than Travis Kelce to go for 20 points consistently. But I would draft like a Cole Kmet with.
They both have 2 touchdown upside. Schultz showed it twice at the end of the season. Once was in the playoffs, once was at the end of the season. And Cole Kmet, I think, had 2 touchdown games last season. And that's what you're looking for in these tournaments. You're looking for tight ends that can spike and give you that huge advantage, even if it's just 1 week, and you want it for week 17, obviously. So if you can stack 1 or 2 of those players on your team, it's going to give you a better chance.
Where he had 5 touchdowns in 3 games. So like,
love this.
We know where he's at. Like, we know he's really good, but I think if we're looking in terms of, who utilizes pass catchers more often, it's Dallas.
It's true. And I really do believe that they're going to re-sign Schultz. It's going to depend though, right? How much faith they have in Jake Ferguson, who did show flashes last year with his pass catching ability. So there is the question mark there. But again, 17 picks after ADP, no matter where Dalton Schultz goes, he should have a pretty good role as a pass catching tight end, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tyler, answer the man. Doesn't have a Twitter, but I've seen him in the Underdog lobby. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Been in Underdog lobbies. No Twitter for me.
I'm going to email Underdog probably after this and have them change a username.
I think my Underdog handle is just my first and last name.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just T Coloros.
We gotta get that changed. You can actually just email Underdog, or I can do it for you.
I'll plug it in,
and we can get that changed though. Like we can change your stuff. Dog Pound T, hot takes only.
Yep.
Cortland Sutton's biggest fan.
Yeah,
we got some
Cortland
good
Sutton
usernames.
fan club.
And if anyone has ideas for Tyler's new username on Underdog, please, we're open ears. Just drop them in the chat.
Plug them.
It depends who you know, Paul. Depends who you know. I'm just kidding. If you email their customer support, you can usually change it, but it has to, in my opinion, from what I've seen, has to be the reason for like promoting for them. So like I've emailed them saying like, hey, started this YouTube channel and I'm trying to promote Underdog, da. So maybe it's how you word it. So we see this range, Hodgins at 135. I just find myself never drafting him unless I have Danny Dimes. Rondell Moore definitely would have been an option for us with Danny Dimes, but even then, I think he could be drafted like out of his position right now. Wandell Robinson's coming back. And again, we're on the clock with the double tap here. And I think, man, A-Chain's really moving down the board, but it's not going to stop. Not going to stop. But let's
as
go.
Much as I think he's a talented player, as a running back in the NFL, it's hard to be a 5'9", 180-pound running back.
This is what I'm looking at here. This is what I'm looking at.
I like that
upside
wide
only.
There.
Our last 3 picks are all second-year guys.
Like, we saw Sky Moore start to command a little bit more targets at the end of the season.
Yeah.
He got more trust. He started off the season where they wanted him to be like a Tyreek Hill replacement almost, where he was returning kicks, returning punts, playing as a receiver. He had the fumble issues on the punt, and then he kind of phased out of the offense heavily. But I do still think Sky Moore can be like a super, super big playmaker for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And we are looking for his role to increase next year. It's just,
especially with Juju being unrestricted free agent, like,
yes,
whether he resigns there or not,
probably not going to happen. So 100 targets up for grabs. You have Kadarius Toney, who can't stay on the field. You have McCole Hardman, who also can't stay on the field. So
MVS, who commands also another 100 targets, who for some reason can't do anything with those targets.
Dude, it's the same thing we saw in Green Bay, though. I've been preaching this when people were drafting MVS last year. You had Aaron Rodgers, who won the MVP that season, and MVS didn't have a good year.
MVS was my biggest fade last year. I think I had 0% MVS. He's a guy that I literally never would draft because I couldn't. I was drafting Sky Moore over MVS any day of the week just because.
Upside.
Just like you said,
upside.
Aaron Rodgers had an MVP season where he threw almost 50 touchdown passes and 5,000 yards, and MVS saw little to nothing of that.
Just not a good receiver.
And I think that's been made clear.
So we need to catch up on running back and tight end. It might be a 1-and-1. We might double tap something. It's going to depend who is there. And I'm assuming Paul is going to want a running back or potentially a tight end as well. So we'll see. We'll see what he leaves us. We will take the leftovers, Paul. We will take the leftovers. Let's see how Dennis is doing. Stephon Diggs, Jalen Waddle, Lamar Jackson, Amari Cooper, Aaron Jones, Mike Evans, Rashad Bateman, James Cook, Njoku. Is this a 6-man draft? Kyler Murray, Elijah Mitchell, Rondell Moore, Chase Claypool. I like that team so far. Leo's got Cooper Kupp, Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, George Kittle, Drake London, George Pickens, Isaiah Pacheco. So a lot of 2-year guys in there. Love that. Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, Bryce Young, Zeke, and Hunter Renfrow. Sorry, my mouse wheel is just going rogue on me right now. Paul's got Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, DK Metcalf, Chris Godwin, DeAndre Swift, Quentin Johnston, Cam Akers, Evan Ingram, Darren Waller, Aaron Rodgers. So is he doing the maybe potential Aaron Rodgers to Las Vegas? I got David Montgomery, Antonio Gibson, and CJ Stroud. Artie Boy, AJ Brown, Saquon Barkley, DeAndre Hopkins, Tony Pollard, Jameson Williams, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Kadarius Toney, Jared Goff, Russell Wilson, Greg Dulcich, Taysom Hill, Michael Gallup, Matty Ice. All right. He's got his 3 QBs. I think he stops there, but we'll see. This is what you have become. This is what you have become. This is what you have become. This is what I turned you into.
Yeah.
Going Kendry Miller because he knows He knows I am the Kendry
He
Miller
said it.
snipe
He even
artist.
said it. He said, "I'm reaching for Kendry."
It's the worst. All right. I think we do this. I just like the. I don't want to reach for a tight end here. I think we're just digging too deep.
Yeah. I'm not high on Thielen this year, too. I think Minnesota ends up drafting wide receiver this year because
Yeah.
they know that Thielen's aging. They're going to have to pay him after next year. He's not going to be paid. They're not going to want to pay him very much, whether he stays there or not. They're just not going to want to pay him a ton. So I think they're going to reach for a wide receiver. Not high on Adam Thielen this year.
Paul, do you have Kendry Miller? Like, I'm curious. Is he like your number 4 RB on your Dynasty RB rankings? Like, is that where you kind of have him in your mind? Is RB4 after Zach Carbonet? Or do you have him at the 3 spot? I don't think Kendry Miller is going to have as much pass catching upside as Zach, but I think he could very easily be ranked in that 4 spot. And I've seen a lot of different rankings with that. Not high on Thielen. Wasn't high on Thielen last year. Actually got a lot of hate on a video saying, Adam Thielen, and this was the exact quote, Adam Thielen's great if you like finishing 3rd place. And honestly, for where he was going last year, that take is so strong and so correct. I'll repost that for everyone.
I'm not high.
Like we knew touchdown regression was coming. We knew
he
it.
was never a
So
target.
this shouldn't be a
He was
surprise.
never a receptions guy. He was never a yards guy. He was always just strictly touchdowns.
Yeah. But this is a fair ADP for him, at least at 172. If someone can remind us, where was Adam Thielen going last year? Was it in the low hundreds? Like 108, 112, something like that?
I honestly think that Thielen was being drafted around 80 because I do remember seeing him.
I agree.
I remember seeing him around guys like Terry McLaurin.
Okay.
I can't remember fully, but I do remember seeing him around guys like Terry McLaurin. I was drafting anyone else that I could possibly around Adam Thielen.
The 1 spot's nice. I'm just so used to picking at like 7 through 12 that it's an adjustment, right? So we have to reach up to go get our guys, and I'm completely fine with that. We let some value fall to us at the same time. So we're coming up in 6 picks, and we need to catch up at running back. We need to catch up at tight end. Wide receiver, we might be done here. Like we might be completely donezo at the wide receiver position.
I think that the wide receiver position is stacked. It's set. It's good.
If we want another
RBs,
QB, I'm worried that we might have to do it now.
Late. I think late last round pick for RBs. One of the guys, I don't know if I want to give it up, but maybe I'll give it up. Sean Tucker out of Syracuse, one of the rookie RBs. I love him. I think if he falls into the right system, that guy is probably going to be the next Austin Eckler.
I love him. I'm going to write him a love note.
I am. I'm going to, with my feet up on my bed, like I'm going to write him a love note saying, Sean Tucker, take me to the promised land.
All right. We need to catch up at running back, tight end. I'd also like a QB.
I think Hayden Hurst is a good select here at tight end.
I'm never going Hayden Hurst without Burrow, though. It would just be against everything I know. Let's go Bellinger for the correlation.
Do have Danny Dimes, so that's a good correlation there.
Suck. I just am not confident he's going to make it back to us. I know people might not like this selection, maybe like Will Levis, but we do have the Treylon Burks connection. So we are expecting and who knows, maybe Tannehill's not even a Titan next year, but he does have a rushing floor 2 years in a row. 2021 and 2020. He had 7 rushing touchdowns. He had roughly 270 yards in both years. So very similar stats. So he does have that weekly rushing upside, and you only need it for 1 week, right? I think this solidifies our QB room. I don't think Kirk Cousins and Danny Dimes in a 20-round draft was going to get it done.
I don't
And
either, but
Mac Jones, do you think he really gives you a weekly upside to spike into 30-point range, 28, 27-point range?
I think more so than Ryan Tannehill would. Just because
doesn't have that rushing upside, though. He's got 1 rushing touchdown in 2 years. Ryan Tannehill obviously hurt last year, but in 2020 and 2021, he had 14 rushing touchdowns total.
But we're seeing him age. We're seeing them fall out of the rushing game a lot. Derrick Henry regressing. They just released their left tackle, Taylor Lewan, a long time left tackle, Taylor
Run
Lewan.
right, run right, run right then.
Run the other direction.
Fair I don't enough. Know. It's thin. I'd rather an Anthony Richardson there. Will Levis, you could argue. If I didn't have a Treylon Burks, I would have gone Will Levis, but
yeah.
And Sam Howell wasn't there, which we had Terry, so that could have been an option. But again, I don't think he makes it back to us at 216, where his ADP is 212. And there's a lot of teams. Like, look at Romo. He's got 1 QB. Look at Mario. He's got 2. So these teams can still afford 4-digit IQ, has 1 QB. So I think it sort of gives us an advantage too, where so we have some hungry hippos for teams at the QB position where we get our 3 and it's a pretty solid bunch. Like, we'll have that weekly floor. We have a little bit of upside with Danny Dimes' legs, and you hate Tannehill.
Don't love him.
I'm fine with it. Let me know. Let me know in the chat if you guys like Tannehill. I think he's a value going that late. So hard for those big spike weeks without rushing upside. Yeah. Philip Rivers never had a 30-point game throughout his career.
Is that proven? Is that crazy?
Mind blown. Paul.
Where did you pull that from?
Buddy, you find that on the bottom of a Snapple cap?
That's
damn.
That's actually insane.
Damn. That's one of the cooler stats that I've read. That's hilarious.
I know some random facts, but I never knew that.
Yeah, we know you know some random facts, Ty. You got a bunch of useless information in that big melon. Guys, if you haven't already, drop a like on the live stream. We appreciate all you fellas for coming out. If you like drafting on the live stream, hit the sub, hit the bell for notifications to make sure you get in. We're going to be releasing our free draft rankings to all subscribers of the Pound. You already know. Got to get the plug in there, guys. You got to get the plug in. Paul, that's with DK scoring with the yardage bonuses at plus. So you get 3-yard bonus at 3+ point bonus at 300 yards for QBs. Dang. Vapor, my last BBM3, Best Ball Mania 3 draft on 9-6. Thielen went pick 68. That is gross. That's I appreciate you pulling out that. All right, we're on the clock.
Pull out that number.
We're on
That's
the
what
clock.
I'm saying. I knew he was going up
Zamir
early.
White. I like that pick. We have to catch up at tight end, and everyone's being hungry hippos. Let's go Pierre Strong here first, and let's think about it. Is there a RB that you need right now that you need to have, or do you think? I mean, we are assuming based on Garrett Wilson's ADP that they are upgrading at QB. Doesn't that make Tyler Conklin a value?
It absolutely does. You expect there to be another quarterback there. So
I missed.
Whoever it is. I know the Jets have, like, if you look back in their history, I don't think they've ever once had a tight end finish in the top 10, but you have to expect that if they bring in a Rodgers, if they bring in a Carr, those are guys that like using tight ends a lot. Um, I think you have to expect an upgrade at the tight end position, just even
Yeah.
slightly, where he
Ah,
finishes within the top
hoping.
20.
Oh, actually, we got our tight end. Yeah, if top 20 is fine. Like if he can finish as tight end 20, that's fine. He
Right.
has that 1 week potential to spike, and that's really all you're really shooting for in round 19. Darnell Washington, he took the advice. Dennis, I believe this is Dennis's squad. No, Dennis is toast. Dennis's squad is toast. So he reached up and got Hunter Henry because he knew I'm higher on Henry than I am Conklin this year, but
Yeah, absolutely.
that is also contingent upon Myers not resigning and Nelson
Yeah.
Aguilar not resigning, and Bill O'Brien being the new OC. So we get the last pick. I just feel like has never happened. I feel like I
Hey,
haven't been in the one spot for a long time
Sean
now.
Tucker, be different.
Dude,
Sean
Sean
Tucker.
Tucker, I feel like been gone for a long time. Sean Tucker's
When is he
ADP is
when's his
160, bro.
ADP?
160. Now he falls quite a bit. Like I've gotten him at 185. Like he falls.
I figured that I didn't even know that he was being drafted. That's kind of like how out of touch, right? Like with
Well, yeah,
some of these drafts that I am, like I
you haven't
haven't
been drafting as
seen.
much as us. You've only got a couple under your belt. You've been more behind the scenes doing the dynasty stuff. But
I'm
yeah,
doing my shorts right
so
now.
you think that's pretty fair? That's pretty fair range for him to go with the.
I do, yeah, because like I said, like I expect him to finish as he could potentially finish as the best rookie running back, like over Bijan Robinson, if he falls into the right system, just because he is such a good pass catcher. Like he's an insanely good pass catcher and a good route runner. I think Jahmyr Gibbs and Sean Tucker are the two guys to look out for out of this draft.
Tyler, we're creating the Twitter account for you today. These hot takes. You're gonna have
That's all I am.
You're gonna have 1 million subscribers, and all of them, but 2 are gonna absolutely hate you.
They're all gonna hate me. That's fine. That's totally fine. I just love hot takes. I love throwing it out there. I love dishing out hot takes because when they turn around and they play off into my favor, everyone's like, "Whoa, this guy knows what he's talking about now."
That's the thing. He doesn't even have to do that though. He could be half as good as what you're expecting him to be, and still be worth where he's going. So, yeah, he went at 136. Sean Tucker. Wow. So someone's high on him. ADP 137. I feel like maybe I'm thinking of who am I thinking of? No, Sean Tucker. I've seen him fall to like mid like 150s. Zach Evans falls into the 2s. It's going to be
another guy I like a lot.
Same. It's just going to depend on their landing spot, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of want a piece of. I don't think you want to really ignore any of those rookie RBs.
Yeah. Same thing with the wide receivers. Same goes with the wide receivers. You don't want to ignore any of them. I think this is one of the most offensive heavy drafts we've seen in a while, where there's a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of running backs, a lot of tight ends and running backs that can all go anywhere and become immediate system players that just break fantasy boards.
Najee Harris, Dobbins, AJ Dillon, Tank Bigsby, Pierre Strong. We needed an RB, and I think it's a perfect spot to bring in another rookie with upside, someone that I think is going to test well and surprise some people. So let's pull up the big board. That was the old team. Here's the new one. Kirk Cousins, Danny Dimes, Ryan Tannehill, Najee Harris, Dobbins, AJ Dillon, Tank Bigsby, Pierre Strong. Israel, if you want to try to hit that one. We got to work on the pronunciations, fellas. JJ, Chris Olave, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin, Treylon Burks, Sky Moore, Alec Pierce, Rashid Shaheed, Dalton Schultz, Danny Bellinger, and Tyler Conklin. Not my favorite of the squads I've drafted in the last few weeks. That's for sure. But it's definitely different when we go 5 wide receivers in the first 6 rounds. I think we're able to find value with Najee falling a few picks and J.K. Dobbins. But yeah, that one spot, I'm looking forward to drafting at it more this offseason if we can get some good variants going our way. But guys, we appreciate everyone coming out. If you haven't already, drop that like on the live stream. We're going to be doing some more live drafts tomorrow. You already guessed it. And the next day, you already guessed it. And if you want to be in those drafts, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, be the first one in the lobby, and we'll get some more drafts with you guys. Also, I expect these draft rankings, the free guide, to be done by Tuesday, and that will be released to all members, subscribers of the Pound. We appreciate you guys. We're grinding on our end, and as long as you guys keep coming out, we're going to continue to keep doing these. We have a lot of fun, and this is only the beginning. Tyler, any final words?
Just appreciate everyone coming out. We love having you guys. We love being a part of the Pound. You know, it's great. Just make sure you hit that bell for notifications so you guys know when we're going live so you can draft with us. And make sure you hit that subscribe button so you guys can get our free draft.
And you're going to make a Twitter.
And I'm going to make a Twitter. And if you leave in the comments what you want my Twitter name to be, I will, the top comment, I will put my Twitter name to be whatever the top comment is.
Yes.
So make some comments, make some suggestions, whatever the top comment is after. We'll call it.
I'm going to have so many suggestions.
After tomorrow night at 5 p.m., whatever the top comment is, I will make my new Twitter, and I will make the Twitter name that. And that
has
will
to have Pound in it. Yeah, completely. Art goes with the original take of instead of I was inverted was I. I love it. All right, guys, have a good night. We appreciate you coming out. Pounders.